In the quiet hours before dawn, a deep silence rested over the garden. The memory of the cross lingered heavily in every heart that followed him. The stone had been rolled into place, sealing what many believed was the end. To human eyes, everything was finished. The teacher was gone, the light extinguished. Yet beyond what could be seen, something greater was unfolding in the shadows. Mary Magdalene walked slowly toward the tomb, her steps weighed down by heavy grief. She was not expecting a miracle, only to mourn and honor the one loved. But as she approached, her heart began to race. The stone had been moved. The entrance stood open. Confusion rushed in, followed by a cold, sharp fear. She ran to tell the others, her voice trembling with a sudden, urgent alarm. The news spread quickly among them, yet disbelief overshadowed their fragile hearts. Who would have taken him? Why disturb the resting place of the one lost? Mary returned to the tomb, drawn by a mixture of sorrow and desperate hope. As she stood outside, weeping, she leaned forward to look inside once more. What she saw made her pause. Two radiant figures sat where the body was. They spoke gently, asking why she wept. Her answer came through bitter tears. They had taken her Lord, and she did not know where he was kept. Turning away, she saw a man standing nearby. Her eyes did not recognize him. He asked her the same question, his voice calm and strangely, deeply familiar. Thinking he was the gardener, she pleaded for answers to find her lost Lord. Then everything changed in a single moment. He spoke her name, just her name. In that instant, recognition broke through her sorrow like light through a dark cloud. The voice she thought she had lost forever stood before her, truly alive. Not a memory, not a dream, but real. The weight of death was shattered. Hope was no longer distant. It stood right in front of her, breathing life. Her sorrow turned into overwhelming joy, a joy so powerful it could not contain. The impossible had happened. He was alive, standing right there in the garden. Mary's heart burned with urgency as she ran back to the others again. This time her steps were filled with something entirely different. Not fear, but wonder. No longer despair, but hope overflowing. Her words came quickly to the waiting group. She had seen him. He was alive, and the tomb was truly empty now. At first, the others struggled to believe her. Grief had made their hearts cautious. The finality of death was not easily undone in their weary, mourning minds. They had seen the cross. They had witnessed the suffering and the crushing loss. How could such an ending be reversed? They questioned the truth of her words. Yet something in her voice, something in her certainty, began to stir their souls. Soon, they too would see what she had seen. In a room filled with uncertainty, where fear had kept them hidden, something extraordinary happened. He appeared among them, not as a distant vision, but as the same presence they knew. He stood before them, speaking peace into their fear. He showed them his hands, marked by sacrifice, and his side, bearing the proof of endurance. This was not a different person. This was the same Jesus, now alive beyond death. Their fear began to melt, replaced by astonishment. What stood before them was not just life restored, but life transformed. Yet even in that moment, not everyone found it easy to believe. One of them, filled with doubt, could not accept what he had not seen. His heart demanded proof, something real and undeniable. Days later, he would receive exactly that. When Jesus appeared again, he did not reject the doubt. Instead, he met it with understanding, inviting him to see, to touch, to know. Faith was not forced. It was revealed through truth. In that encounter, doubt gave way to belief, and belief became unshakable. The resurrection was no longer just a report. It was a reality, experienced and undeniable. As the days passed, the weight of what had happened settled deeply within them. This was not just a miracle among many. This was something greater, something that changed everything. Death itself had been confronted and defeated. The final enemy, the one that no one could escape, no longer held its power. They remembered his words, words that once seemed mysterious but now carried undeniable clarity. He had spoken of rising again. He had spoken of life that could not be taken. At the time, they had not understood. But now, standing in the reality of the resurrection, Those words came alive with meaning. Their fear slowly transformed into courage. The same voices that once trembled now spoke with confidence. The same hearts that once hid now burned with purpose. They had seen the truth, and it could not be ignored or silenced. Jesus continued to appear to them, teaching, guiding, and reminding them of his words. Each moment strengthened their understanding. This was not the end of his work. It was the beginning of something far greater, a mission that would reach beyond them, beyond their time, into the lives of others. They realized that the message they carried was not meant to stay hidden. It was a declaration that life is stronger than death, and hope cannot be buried. They were no longer followers hiding in shadows. They were witnesses to something eternal. The story of the resurrection did not remain confined to that garden or those few witnesses. It began to spread, carried by voices filled with conviction and the weight of their experience. Wherever they went, they shared what they had seen, what they knew to be true. This was not a story built on imagination. It was grounded in something real and tangible. They had walked with him, spoken with him, and seen him alive once again. Their message carried power because it came from the heart of a living truth. People listened with curiosity and doubt, but many had hearts ready to believe. The message spoke to a deep longing for hope, meaning, and life beyond the seen. In that message, they found the very thing they had been searching for all along. The resurrection became more than an event. It became a personal invitation, an invitation to believe that death is not the end of the human journey, an invitation to trust in something far greater than our deepest fears, an invitation to step into a new life, defined by more than worldly limits. Through it all, one truth remained clear. The resurrection is about what happens now. Lives are transformed, hearts are renewed, and hope is restored in every generation. The story echoes through time, reaching into moments of doubt and seasons of loss. It speaks into places where hope feels distant, reminding us that nothing is final. The resurrection reveals a deeper reality, that life is stronger than death. Light can break through the darkest night, and what is broken can be restored. It is a message that does not fade, because it is rooted in something eternal. Every person who hears it is faced with a choice to make: to dismiss it as impossible, or to lean into the possibility that it is true, to remain in doubt, or to explore the depth of faith, to see it as a mere story, or to encounter it as living truth. If the resurrection is real, then everything changes for the human soul. Fear loses its grip, and death loses its finality forever. Hope becomes more than a wish. It becomes an unshakable certainty. The power of this story is not just that it happened, but that it matters. It is not just about an empty tomb, but about a living presence. It is the promise of life that cannot be taken away or shaken. It invites every heart to see beyond the visible into the eternal. It calls us to move beyond fear and doubt into something greater, into a life marked by purpose, faith, and an unshakable hope. The stone was rolled away to reveal a new reality where death has no word. That truth still stands today, powerful and ever present in our world. The resurrection is not the end of the story. It is the beginning.